Hey, what's up? One of the biggest practical changes is how the game handles configuration and logs. The old document/ACE folder will now migrate into saved games ACE in line with Microsoft recommendations, which means that settings files will transfer automatically the first time you boot after the update, and logs move with them too. That's more than just housekeeping. It fixes a real-world headache where OneDrive and other sync tools could seize configuration files or block read-write operations if they ran out of space or changed permission rules. So if you've ever lost an in-game profile or been frustrated by bindings mysteriously resetting, this should help stabilize that behavior. There's also a physics-ish fix that some of you have probably noticed if you race the Nordschleife. Tires that would slowly sink below the track edge when you eased off near walls have been addressed. That weird visual physics glitch where the contact patch looked like it was falling through the tarmac was especially noticeable on the Nordloop's trickier curbs and edges. So the fix should make those close calls feel a lot less janky and more dependable when you're threading that fine line between curb and grass. It's the kind of subtle polish that doesn't always get screenshots, but absolutely changes how confidence builds corner after corner. Car handling and balance tweaks are a big theme here. The BMW M3 CSL has received several adjustments to camber gain, drag, and brake bias, which together change how the car reacts mid-corner and under braking. Expect slightly altered turn-in and maybe more predictable rear-end behavior if you're pushing the limit. The Lamborghini Huracan STO has had aero balance, suspension, and weight tweaks, so the way it plants under high speed and through fast sweepers should feel more coherent. The Alfa Junior's force feedback has been tuned to reduce the dramatic difference between power and coast phases it's heat-on, which should make steering feedback more consistent as you transition between throttle and lift. Small numbers in these places can change your confidence when you're on the edge, and these adjustments are clearly meant to refine how each car telegraphs its limits. There are also some crash and stability fixes tied to setups and server reliability. Loading certain setups for Maserati GT2 and AMG GT2 cars could crash both client and server. That's been patched, and the AMG GT2 received an additional suspension tweak to reduce anti-dive and squat properties. The Maserati GT2 had setup crash fixes plus BOP alignment updates, but the developers explicitly asked players to remove previously created setups for both cars because older setups may conflict with the new balance and could still cause wonky behavior. So if you have a folder full of custom setups for either of those two, delete them and rebuild. It's a small hassle, but it prevents corrupted inputs and crashes down the line. On the endurance and GT side, the Porsche Cayman GT4 CS MR got new limits for setups and suspension updates, which should tighten how the car behaves under load and reduce extremes that let setups get outside intended ranges. The Ferrari F40 LM received an aero fix intended to reduce the chance of liftoff at high speeds, which is obviously critical for trust at circuits with long straights. Nothing ruins a lap like an unexpected flight. The Toyota Supra's drift variant had an adjustment to reduce excessive suspension damage values, so you should see fewer extreme and unrealistic failures when drifting for long stints. Those are the kind of fixes that keep a race competitive and prevent weird edge case failures that break immersion. Track and AI work is present too. There was a missing rubber patch on a specific Nordschleife curb that's now fixed, meaning grip behavior on that part of the circuit should match surrounding surface conditions better. An incorrect AI spline at Spa was corrected, which improves how AI lines behave in that sector. Less clipping, fewer odd passing maneuvers, and generally cleaner race flow. And for multiplayer and controls, they fixed a controller navigation issue where applying a binding in the controls page could leave you unable to navigate menus afterward, and they also fixed an issue where the wrong current car could be selected after a special event. Finally, the Dallara EXP had an AI mixing bug addressed, so it will now mix correctly with different AI opponents when automatic grid generation is used. These fixes collectively smooth frustration points that cropped up during play. From a creator or streamer standpoint, none of this is flashy headline content, but it's exactly the kind of maintenance that prevents weird edge case videos and rage clips. Less chance of crashes from loading corrupted setups, fewer sudden aerodynamic surprises at speed, more stable config file locations so settings survive OS-level shenanigans, and better AI behavior that keeps races feeling organic. The update balances polish with practical fixes, and while it's not a giant feature drop, it's the tidy kind of patch that improves day-to-day play for many of the cars and tracks you'll be racing. So yeah, that's what's been addressed in this hotfix. The kinds of changes that quietly make sessions less annoying and more consistent. If you've had any of the specific crashes or setup quirks mentioned, this should give you a noticeably smoother experience. And if you race the Nordschleife or Spa a lot, you'll probably appreciate these subtle but important track and AI corrections.